Hello, this is O'Reilly Smith with MakeGood Creative Network, and today I want to share with you, and I kind of can't believe I didn't do this video sooner, of 5 books that will make you a better improviser. So I have been improvising for, oh god, how long has it been now? 14 years? Yeah. So I've been an improviser for 14 years. I've also taught improv, even at the university level. I've done improv in the US and the UK. And a lot of that is, of course, from classes, from playing live with other people. But I'm also a big reader, and I like to take the time to get other perspectives than just whatever kind of improv community I'm in. Improv communities can get kind of closed off. Dare I say, some can even get kind of dogmatic. So I think it's really helpful as an improviser to read other perspectives. This is also a very cool way to get better faster. If you are new to improv, reading about it can really help you improve, along with taking classes. Like, of course, the best way to get better at improv is to go and do it and to take classes that you enjoy. Find a group that you enjoy doing it with. Doing improv you don't enjoy will probably just make you worse and make your life less happy. But taking classes is the best way to get better, but you can supplement that. You can improve the speed at which you really feel like you understand it and really start enjoying it by reading some books. So I have 5 books here today. Very excited to show y'all. I have arranged them in order of complexity, I guess, like what I recommend reading first. So let's get into it. The very first one that I recommend is actually the first improv book I read, very close to my heart. It's called The Improv Handbook, The Ultimate Guide to Improvising in Comedy, Theater, and Beyond. I don't know if I've talked about this book before. It's by Tom Selinsky and Deborah Francis White, not Wright. I read the Improv Handbook in high school, and it helped me really quick become a very good improviser at the high school level. So, you know, there's different standards there, but it also helped me when I had to teach my group. What's really cool about this book is that not only does it explain the principles and talk about, like, it's basically a lesson plan. Like, it's basically a guide to teaching an intro improv class. What I like about this book is that it, like I said, it just walks you through basically each concept and gives you exercises that you can do to really drive home the concept. So it's beneficial to just read it for yourself because they give lots of good examples. But it's also great if you want to teach, if you want to or have to teach a group yourself, which can happen if you want to continue doing improv, but you can't afford the like $500 for a class from some of the like bigger name theaters. You can get a troupe together and basically teach yourselves off of this book. Very cool. The other thing that I like about it and why I kind of recommend going for it first is, one, it's very simple, it's very direct, but it is also not American. They're from London, so while they are like they're still in like the Del Close improv tradition, like everybody is, they're not like tied into what you will probably see in the US. They have their own improv philosophy, they have their own way of teaching it, and I think it's really great if you're brand new, and also really great if you've been doing improv classes for a while in the US and you want to see a different perspective. You want to see this kind of same underlying principles explained in a different way that might work better for you. So very cool. Definitely recommend this as the place to start. I try to mostly pick books that maybe you haven't heard of, or people maybe you haven't heard of that I still think are really helpful. But the next one I think is just a pretty valuable place to start after you read the first one, of course. But this next one is The Upright Citizens Brigade Comedy Improvisation Manual by Matt Besser, Ian Roberts, and Matt Walsh. I'm pretty sure those were some of the founders. Basically, this is just like UCB one, like Improv 101, maybe Improv 101 and 102 is like just in this book. So this is also one that I've used to teach people if they were interested in like learning. Wow, I just opened up to this lovely picture. If people are interested in learning specifically UCB style improv, UCB has a very, very clear style. They are pretty much improvising to learn how to do sketch writing. So this is also very helpful if you're interested in sketch. If you're interested in writing short or even longer form comedic work, I think I recommended this in my other video, but definitely read this if you want to be a better improviser. Even if you're already taking UCB classes, if you feel like you're struggling with at all, like with the principles, with the terminology, if you feel like you're just not like really grooving with it, like read the book, and perhaps that will help you kind of cement the principles a little bit more. Again, this is also a really good thing to buy if you kind of have to DIY for your own group, if you can't afford to hire a teacher, or you can't afford to go to classes, or any of the above. So basically, if you want to supplement a UCB style education, if you want to get an idea of what UCB is like, this is it. So check this out before you go and like spend the hundreds of dollars to take their classes. You can read the book first and see if you're into it. But I recommend this one a lot because it's kind of an intro to how the basics of comedy work, more like the basics of narrative comedy. I feel like this really is a great introduction. Not all comedy has to work the way that they recommend, but if you do it this way, it does work. So that is helpful. If you're already like really super experienced in UCB style and you're trying to get away from it, you know, ignore the suggestion and move on to the third one. The next book, I saved this one for second to last because it's a little complicated. So this is like the grandmother of improv. Basically, if you think of like the people in the 60s, like Del Close and, you know, the people who like created the Herald form and stuff. And the people who really pioneered improv as like, this can be its own format. This lady was like right before that. Like she came up with a lot of the improv games that we still play, a lot of the improv warm-ups that we still play, but she was still kind of thinking about it in terms of how do we improve just performance in general. She does talk a little bit about how improv, like the things in here can lead to beautiful moments themselves, and that like performance should always have an element of improv because you should be reacting, but it's just really effing good. What I love about this book is that it really gets, you'll notice it's a little bit bigger with smaller font than the other ones we went. That's why I saved it for like close to last. It just really will help you improve as a performer. She talks about the concepts in here can get kind of hippy dippy, I guess, because she talks about, you know, like a lot of feelings and it's very much like an acting class too. But I have used this book to just teach an improv class, and it 100% improved everybody so fast, because the exercises in here, like they're kind of weird, but like there's a section on sense memory and like building environment using like senses, and it's amazing. So there's so many exercises in here. This whole thing is just jam-packed with exercises, and all of the concepts just really get into really good improv. Like she just breaks it down so well into like, how do we feel? How do we have in a relationship? And like everything comes with like, so she'll talk about these like big concepts and then break them down into very small games, which I love. I think that's the best way to learn, is to kind of have an idea of like an overarching theme, like I said, like the sense memory. But then you do something very small, like just everyone stands in a circle and like you have like a guided kind of meditation of eating ramen from sense memory, you know? And like it breaks it down so easy. And then all the exercises kind of build on each other. This is really great if let's say you are working with a troupe who's fairly experienced and you guys want to see how to improve next, how you can really dig deep and get better. This is also good just for an individual. You can do a lot of the exercises in here just by yourself. So I really recommend this, Viola Spolin. Even though the book's like a little bit old, and like I said, it's from kind of pre like improv for the sake of improv. But improv is acting, improv is performance, and this will improve both. So really, really, if you have any improv experience at all, this is a great one to check out. Read it, do the exercises with yourself, with other people. You'll really improve. Our last one is another quick read, very cute, very succinct. It's called How to Be the Greatest Improviser on Earth by Will Hines. Will envisioned this book as, there's a lot of kind of intro to improv books out there, as we saw. I have like 4 in this pile that were technically thought to be like intro books, although I don't think the Viola Spolin should be used as an intro book, but the other ones kind of were. They're introductions to the philosophy. This one is a lot more, it's still UCB, so it's still in the UCB style. Like this guy is a teacher and has been a teacher at UCB for decades. So it's very much ingrained in the UCB style, but he starts adding some nuance to some of the rules. So when you start improv, right, you hear like, yes, and you hear like, don't ask questions. And you hear like kind of all of these very clear rules. Those are really helpful when you're starting out. I 100% agree with teaching new people using those, but they're easy ways to kind of tap into more nuanced principles. So you'll see experienced improvisers say no to each other, because it's not about saying yes, just blatantly saying yes. It's about agreeing with what your scene partner is really offering. Obviously that can get kind of complicated. If you're brand new to improv and you're just working on like, how do I start doing this insane thing? Then we just want to say yes. We just want to make it easy on ourselves and work on that first, work on agreement first before we get into like complicated, how do we be real together? But like, that's what this does. So this is why I saved it for last. He takes his kind of epiphanies, the things that have come to him over, decades of improv experience, and that he thinks upgraded, like leveled up. Like he tells you flat out, like how he leveled up and got good enough to be one of the top teachers at UCB. Like I said, it is very much still in the UCB mindset, so I didn't like everything in this book, but I think that's kind of the cool thing about reading this when you're a little more experienced, is you can take what helps, and thinking critically about what you agree with and what you don't can actually really help you figure out your own improv philosophy. So I would definitely save this for when you're a little bit more experienced. If you read the 4 other books, you will definitely be ready for this. This is another cool one that you could actually like teach out of, because he gives some exercises. Like, I don't know if there's enough here to do like a whole class, because there's not a ton. Like, he tries to keep it pretty quick, right? But you could use this definitely as kind of a starting point. Like, each of his epiphanies could be like the theme of a class, and he offers like 2 to 3 exercises for each epiphany. So you could definitely like design a class. I will probably use this to teach classes soon, because I teach improv in LA as well. So I will probably be working out of this book for the next round of classes that I do. So really cool, highly recommend if you've at least done like 1 or 2 improv classes and you feel like you're feeling pretty comfortable, but you'd like to really get better. Or again, if you're stuck in a rut, if you've been doing improv long enough to feel like you are in a rut and to feel kind of depressed about it, then you are ready for this book. So definitely recommend. Super good. Like, little funny note about this book, so I read it and then I was looking through the Goodreads reviews, because I love to see reviews, and I was like, what are people saying? And I looked at like, this one person left 3 stars and they were like, well, I really thought this book would be more about general life advice, but it was really focused on improv. 3 stars. And I'm like, it's called How to Be the Greatest Improviser on Earth. Are you an idiot? Like, it was just, Why would you pick this up and be like, why doesn't this help me just with life generally? Like, this is about improv. It's very, very much about improv. It assumes you already know a lot of the terms. Like, that person was delusional. Because, like, the very first, like, the preface is like, this is like exclusively about improv. Like, it's like, you want to be the greatest improviser in the world. Like, why did this person pick up this book and think it was general life advice? Anyway, just a funny thing. People are wild. So that was my 5 improv books. I'm gonna just go through them all again real quick. First one I recommend, The Improv Handbook by Tom Selinsky and Deborah Francis White. Cool because it gives an out of the US perspective and is really good for teaching beginner improvisers. The Upright Citizen Brigade Comedy Improvisation Manual by Matt Besser, Ian Roberts, and Matt Walsh. This is cool because it's basically everything you need to do, like Improv 101, maybe 102, UCB style. Pretty cool. Next one is Improvisation for the Theater by Viola Spolin. This one is a bit highfalutin in the language sometimes, but the exercises are really, really good. So if you go through this book and you do the exercises, you will improve as an improviser and a performer. Super awesome. And even just reading through it, if you get all the way through it, you will be smarter. That's what you will. It'll make you smarter and a better performer. So very cool. And then last but certainly not least, How to Be the Greatest Improviser on Earth by Will Hines. This is very good to up your game and to think harder about your own improv philosophy and what exactly you think improv is, how it works for you, and what you want to get out of it. So really good. Definitely recommend for anyone who has some improv experience and feels like they could do better at being present, being changeable, fighting well, being brave, playing with difficult people, being authentic, being funny, or being healthy. So check out these 5 books. I will put the links to them in the description below. Hope they're easy for you to find. And thank you so much for watching. If you are interested not only in improv, but potentially auditioning for something, if you are interested in how do you nail an audition, how do you find auditions, this guide will help you also with finding and nailing improv auditions. But if you are interested at all in auditioning for anything ever, we have a guide for you. It's called How to Nail Your First Audition. It is the beginner's guide to the hardest part of being an actor. If you have been struggling to get roles or get auditions, or you don't even know where to start, the guide is in the description below and will super duper help you. I made it. I collaborated with a group of actors on this primarily. Most of the information came from Juan Sebastian Cruz, who is an actor and circus artist in Houston. So check that out in the description below. We shall help you nail your first audition or your, whatever audition number you're on. It'll definitely help you out. So check that out. But most importantly, let's go improvise.